Kyle Joyce is a seasoned cameraman whose work has brought powerful stories to life on screen. From the high-stakes kitchens of Chopped on the Food Network to the emotionally charged investigations featured on In Pursuit with John Walsh, Kyle has spent years behind the camera capturing the moments that move audiences and drive impact. He was on the road for seasons 4 and 5 of In Pursuit, working alongside the Walsh family as part of a team committed to justice. While Kyle's perspective differs from the other family members of In Pursuit who have been featured on the podcast, his voice is just as vital. He offers a rare look into what it means to document these stories quietly, carefully, and powerfully, often without recognition but with deep intention. Kyle is also a devoted father to his kiddos and offers us a glimpse into his world behind the lens, sharing what it takes to film in high-pressure environments, the emotional weight of true crime storytelling, and the often overlooked role of those who help shape the stories we see unfold on screen each week. This is True Crime in Hollywood, Kyle's personal tale. Hi, listeners. So you're probably all thinking that this season might be just dedicated to the In Pursuit with John Walsh family. But I'm sticking to my roots, and I would love to share another wonderful member of this family. And this would be Kyle. Kyle, remind me, were you new that season?
Yeah, that was my first, like your first shoot was my first shoot.
That's what I thought. Okay, so here's Kyle. So we do have another newbie, if you will, but remind me, you did previously work with either Bill or Ben?
With Ben. I had
With
done
Ben.
another
Okay.
show with Ben, and
Okay.
Bill was one of those guys. I'm sure you have someone like this who, like, everyone you
Mm-hmm.
know knows
Mm-hmm.
them,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, "Oh, you know this guy because you work with all these other guys." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"I know him, but not the person. I know the story and the persona and whatever." And so
Yeah.
that was the one that I finally got to meet, the real Bill Keller.
Mm, got it. Okay. So, all right. So we'll jump back to that. But first things first, Kyle, I want to know where you grew up. What did you envision for yourself in terms of like what your big boy job would be?
Hmm.
And yeah, tell me that.
All right. So I thought I was going to be an actor for a while.
Oh.
I don't know why. Like, I kind of just did everything my older brother did. I'm the middle child of
Mm-hmm.
three. I grew up in Rochester, New York, and then we moved to the suburbs when I was like 10.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but my older brother is like very high achiever. I think my dad's side of the family is like pretty smart. A
Yeah.
lot of people, there's like valedictorians, and some of my cousins and stuff would get like 1600s on their SATs and whatnot,
Yeah.
not me,
Yeah.
but I just sort of did everything that my older brother did because I felt like I had to,
Mm-hmm.
um, except for the like play. I was also like loud and annoying to everyone. Um, and then I did the school play because my sixth grade teacher was like, "Hey, we need someone who's loud, and it's okay that you're annoying for this." So I started doing that, and I made my older brother come along with me. He ended up going to college for acting for musical theater because he could
Wow.
sing real good too. I can't
Yeah.
sing very good, but I can sing okay. And then I went like right around my junior year of high school. I went to this New York State Summer School of the Arts for acting, like
Mm-hmm.
down. It was in the Hamptons basically,
Oh.
and it was like 16 kids from 16 boys, 16 girls who all wanted to be actors. You would go and do like I think what would probably best be described as like a college seminar. They were like,
Mm.
this is what it's going to be like when you get to college. And we had dance belts and we did breathing exercises and we had a
Wow.
movement class, like it was very
Mm-hmm.
college theater.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, oh no, this is not what I want to do. I just want to like, because I liked, like Chris Farley and Will Ferrell and like Adam
Mm-hmm.
Sandler and all those like SNL. Like I just like making people laugh.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was like, I want to be a rich, famous actor, blah, blah, blah. That's what I'll do.
Wow.
No chance that it won't work out for me. And then I went to this camp and I was like, oh no, I have to do this stuff because I don't know if I can make it through like 4 years of breathing collectively and, telling everyone how good they were at their monologue, even though they were not good. You know what I mean? So I had to
Yes.
like figure something else out pretty quick. That was like between junior and senior year. And
Wow.
I'd already applied for colleges, I think. And my best friend was going to Emerson for acting.
Mhm.
So I was like, oh, they have broadcast journalism. I'll just do broadcast journalism. And
What?
so I
Wow.
did that instead. But I don't know that I really had like a plan. I did kind of think like, oh, you know what? I'll just be the anchor of Sports Center because that seems like
Mm.
I could totally do it. I still kind of feel like I could at this point,
Yeah.
but I don't want to do, you know, when you learn how hard you have to work to like get to the high up places and like just
Mhm.
wasn't for me. So I just kind of like
Mhm.
kept stepping down into other things.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of other stuff in between, you know, then and now, but
Right.
here I am.
Wow. I'm shocked. I would have
What?
never known. I didn't know that. That is wild. See, this is why I asked this question because I love learning about where everyone thought they were supposed to be. And then in reality, we all ended up together 3 years ago. So now, with
Yeah.
that being said, so then how did the camera work come into play? How did you break into the industry?
I did. All right. I'm going to start. I also talk a lot in tangents. So if
Do
you
it.
can rope me in if you want. But
Mm, mm,
in college, when I did broadcast journalism, I was like, I want to be the anchor on Sports Center. So obviously, I need to like be the news anchor in our college news station or whatever. But
mhm.
then it turned out everybody wanted to be the anchor, you know? And I was like, oh no, this isn't going to work for me because I'm going to have to try really hard and I don't want to have to try. I just want to do it because it seems fun. And if I have to try, then it's going to suck all the fun out of it. And I found that nobody wanted to like shoot the packages and edit the packages and like do the technical stuff behind the scenes for the reporters, you know?
Mhm.
So I was
Mhm.
like, there's a thing that no one's going to bother me. And if I just like do the job for everyone, then, you know, I can fill a need. People will be like, look at this guy. He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
And I basically did that for like all my buddies and like any girl who I thought was cute. I would be like, hey, do you need help with your package? I'll shoot it. You know, it did not work for me. But I did that. I was like the chief videographer or whatever for our
Yeah.
college news thing.
Wow.
And I sort of thought like, let me go get a news job out of
Mhm.
school. But I graduated college in 2008, like straight into the
Mhm.
worst economy since the Great Depression, you
Mhm.
know?
Right. Yep. Remember
So
that.
there were no jobs for anybody. Um, and I kind of like farted around and did some temp jobs and like made rent, did saved up some money to eventually move somewhere other than Rochester,
Yeah.
and ended up dating this girl who was like a YouTube ukulele musician from
Whoa.
also from our town. But
Wow.
we got together and I was like her tour manager for a couple years.
A couple years.
Yeah. I mean, I was
Wow.
doing like temp jobs or whatever.
Yeah.
I moved to New York like in that time, and one of the jobs that I found on Craigslist was to go over to this person's warehouse for www.paellapans.com, and I would go pick the pans that were ordered. She'd like remotely print the orders off for me.
Yeah.
I would pick out the pans, put them in the FedEx box, drive them in my '97 Plymouth Neon to the FedEx, and get paid like $20 an hour cash for that,
Hey.
just so that on the weekends I could go, you know, like she was doing a show in Boston or she was going to DC or whatever, so I could like keep myself free to go around.
Wow.
And that's sort of like the working together and also dating didn't work out. So
Mhm.
then we kept dating and I got a job in New York doing some video stuff, but it was like tangentially video related. It wasn't actual like set on set production,
Mm.
whatever.
Mhm.
And that job was, I think that was good for me to learn the sort of office politics part of any job, you know?
Right.
But
Wow.
I don't know. I'm trying to make this shorter. After that one, I went to NBA Television, which is based in Secaucus, New Jersey, because I love the NBA.
Yeah.
Um, and so I went and I worked there, and I had learned how to do like server administration, tech stuff, edit station administration, media management, all that stuff. And they put me in like the NBA's media management room, which is like this cold, windowless room in a subfloor that you need to scan your badge to get in. No one ever comes to visit you. You never talk to anyone or see anyone. You're just like pushing buttons. A phone might ring if something broke, but you can't fix it, so it doesn't matter. Like it was the most soul crushing, worst job in the whole world. And to
Oh
top it off,
man.
it was nights and weekends. So it was
Oh
9 p.m. to
Lord.
7 a.m. Thursday,
Mm-mm.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Mm-mm.
And I lived in Brooklyn. So I'd drive to New Jersey in evening rush hour traffic. And then I would drive back to Brooklyn in morning rush hour traffic through Manhattan, like
Oh,
very tired, you know?
yeah. Yeah.
So that job like really crushed my soul for a while.
Wow.
And that's when I was like, you know what? I don't care. I will. I had taken significant pay cuts at every step to be like closer to the passion I wanted or actual on-set
Mm-hmm.
production or whatever. And I
Mm-hmm.
was always trying to do like side hustles to fill in and get like real quote unquote experience on set or shooting stuff or whatever. And then I knew someone who was they knew someone who was hiring for Chopped as like a production
Mm-hmm.
assistant. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, no idea how to do any of this stuff or what the industry's like or what the job meant. But I knew it was like another 50% pay cut, like another, hey, you're not sure how long this is, a 3 month job. Maybe it'll go on longer. You'll have to figure something out after that.
Right.
But I like showed up to that interview to be a PA, like wearing a sports coat and like a button up shirt, and I had loafers and stuff. And the guy was like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Like, do you understand what this job is? Like, you make
Yeah.
no money." I think it was 175 for 16 was like our first.
Holy.
Yeah, and I was like, "Dude, sign me up. I do not care. I don't want
Ooh.
to do the thing I'm doing, and I'll do whatever." He's like, "Most people wear like a hoodie and a backpack, and you have like an attaché case and a button up, like a Brooks Brothers blazer on." I had my whole like thing doing like I was pretending I was getting a job at like the Dow Jones, but
Yeah.
it was like, hey, do you want to drive a box truck around New York? And like, if you kill someone, as long as we don't find out, we won't care.
Jeez.
But that's
Oh
how I like
my
got
gosh.
into actual television production.
Mm, okay. This all makes so much more sense now because when we first connected and we chatted, you talked a bit about Chopped. So I want to transition to that because obviously culinary is a very big theme among these conversations with our team,
Hmm.
but we're talking about Chopped. We're talking about the Food Network. And as my husband is a chef, these are shows that I'm very, very familiar with.
I remember.
Yeah. So what was like your takeaways of those, especially once you kind of learn the ropes, you see how everything's done? Yeah, like what was that like to then transition into true crime?
It is. It's totally different.
Yeah.
There's like studio stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be food, it could be game shows or whatever. Even like
Right.
when you're doing narratives stuff, if you're in the studio, that's a different thing than in
Mm-hmm.
the field.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think that is the biggest difference, is just kind of like when you're out on your own, that like you have to solve all the problems,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fun and it's challenging. Like it's part of the job that I particularly like, because we, show up at an Airbnb that like Ben has seen pictures of, but nobody really knows what it looks like. It's
Mm-hmm.
like Tinder, but for houses. It's always like this picture, and it looks bigger. They put the panorama zoom on, and then you come into the house and you like can't fit four people in the same room. But
I
there's nothing to
mean,
be done. There's nothing to be done about it. It's just like
that was
you.
my job.
I'm saying they misrepresent themselves on
Yes.
the internet in the way that they photograph, and
Yes,
so
100%.
like
Mm-hmm.
every week for us it's just like, okay, we did our best, we're trying to make it work good, but
Yeah.
for sure, undoubtedly, like this thing will be next to an airport, or this thing, like I did a bunch of house shows and they would shoot them on this place that was next to an Air Force base, and they're
Oh
doing test
Lord.
flights, you know what I mean, like all the time, like F-14s, F-22s, just like in the middle of the
Uh-huh.
interviews or whatever. But that part I think is fun. The like food, starting in food and moving to true crime. The food shows end. You
Hmm.
got to find something else.
Hmm.
I ended up doing this show with for like Facebook when Facebook had a streaming thing.
Yeah.
And it was me, and then Ben got hired as the DP and brought his dudes in. I don't know if you know Dave Cavallo or Corey Dross. Like they were the Bill Kellers
I
for this
know
other
I heard
show.
about them quite a bit,
There
but
is like a
yeah.
weird, disciples of Ben Wolf thing that happens. It's nice. It's like a fraternity or whatever you want to call it.
I love this.
But you
Ugh.
expect the thing is like it's a way that you work. So for
Yes.
me, from like being the one who prepares, make sure all the stuff is prepared. At least I put that on myself. I don't know if that is my job, but it's easy for me to work with those dudes because I know like, hey, we're going into this thing. This has to be this way. If I walk into the
Mhm.
room, I know like Ben's gonna want to black out that one. I'll put the other camera over there. Like they all kind of get it and they know what
Yep.
we're doing visually, and I don't know, he communicates it well. They all sort of get it and follow the plan, and it makes my job 100 million times easier to be like, no matter what
Mm.
happens, you walk into a weird house or whatever, but you
Mhm.
can look at it and be like, this is what he's thinking. I'll I'll start doing this to like
Yeah.
save time or whatever. So it wasn't so much like I went into true crime from doing like studio food shows. It's just the one job ended. I knew I started working with Ben. He's like that on all the other shows too.
Yeah,
I've only
I
done like
bet.
two other ones with him, but it's the same,
Wow.
like he does the same thing. He works the same way. It's just comforting because you get, you know, every time a show ends, you got to go find another show. And it's
Mhm.
nice when you get to work with people, but it's not often the case.
Yep.
And sometimes you show up and the person is like a crazy person. And you're just kind of like, I don't understand why you want to do things this way. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
There's this easier way that I do with this other guy that I know. And it could all be so simple, but here you are making it so
Hmm.
difficult for everyone. And it ruins the whole experience.
100%. I think that actually speaks to so much of your job as a whole. Because there does need to be this great communication factor. And you're right, because as a freelance producer, you don't get the same people. You don't get the same,
Yeah.
you know, so transitioning into In Pursuit, because this will all cohesively come together because so that first shoot that we all did, we were in Orlando, and yes, my job was to be the person to find the Airbnbs, to find the space, and just like for you, every show is different. So every show that I have gone to when I was an AP, the requirements, the looks, all of that. What I appreciated though with Ben in this factor was that we would have meetings, I believe, earlier in the week before we would go out and shoot, or it was the week before. But what I loved was that he would look at all of my options. And just as you said, he could see exactly all the different looks he could
Yeah.
do. But then you get there and it's like, oh, this is a mob house.
Right. You're like, oh, in the photos, they hadn't yet installed this like weird, all the
Uh-huh.
mirrors throughout the entire living room. And
Yeah.
you're like, that kind of affects what we're trying to do.
Right. Right. So it just speaks to the way that, camera teams can operate in this fashion and doing so on a crunch. But then to add in the whole element that, okay, now you're not doing cooking shows. Now we are talking about some of the most horrific things that we have all learned. And you were also one of those individuals that were flying out week after week after week after week. So it's not like you necessarily got a distinct break to like reset your brain to whatever, decompress from everything that you just had to ingest. So, with that being said, talk to me about that first shoot then. So to remind you, it was we were chasing a fugitive, a serial rapist that
Yes.
had been loose for decades at this point. The survivor we interviewed, this was the first time she had ever been really interviewed. She also wanted to be concealed
Yeah, she was like
identity wise.
silhouetted, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So talk to me about that process and and what that was like for you, especially by the time we started shooting and you're able to kind of tap into what's happening around you and watching Cal do this interview.
Yeah. I mean, that first one was super weird for me. I mean, I've heard you talk to Yoshi about it, and I've talked to
Hmm.
Yoshi, like not on a podcast, just in human
In
in human
general.
life. Yeah. I was like, wow, that was so weird. I
Hmm.
mean, because I don't, I mean, it might be my first true crime show
Hmm.
that I did.
Hmm.
I did like a couple days here and there on some like recre stuff for like a
Yeah,
cult one that I can't remember the name of.
right.
And then I've done some other stuff with like the People magazine presents the
Oh,
case
yes,
of
yes, yes, yes.
something.
Right.
But this was like the first like real deal, boom, boom,
Hmm.
boom, 3 months straight, I think,
Hmm.
right? Something like that.
If not a little bit more. I think our first shoot was like April and our last together was August. So what is that?
Yeah,
Four
so
months?
my
Yeah.
my whole you're right that like in the food competition stuff, like the Chopped and the Bobby Flays and all the whatever,
Hmm.
they try really hard to get the contestants to like tell their story. You know what I mean? And
Right.
who knows how much they use on air. But
Right.
there is a lot of times, or there are a lot of times where the person will be like talking to the judges about the food they make, and then all of a sudden they're like, why would this be important to you? And they tell their story about how their parents didn't accept them because they were gay, or and this was the only place that they found a home, or they were doing drugs because they grew up in a bad situation, and then they
Hmm.
figured it out and straightened it out. Like there's always some sort of redemption story. There's a lot of cancer, blah blah blah. Like a lot
Yeah.
of people have a story to tell, and television is the whatever the opportunity to do so. So we would get like emotional moments from time to time on sets like that, but like, that much
Right.
forever. And this I honestly don't know that I like thought about it at all before we started,
Hmm.
because it's Ben Wolf. He says, I'm doing this show. Do you want to do it with me? It
Yeah.
sounds great. It's travel every week. And I
Yeah.
think that the way, like, because Cal was working at the center during the week,
And at Mac. Hmm.
so we were like on the weekends, which I had a brand new kid. Like I have
Yeah.
two, right?
That's
One is 7,
right.
one is 4. So I
Yeah.
think my younger one was like, I don't remember what the years were, but whatever. It was better for me because my wife was working during the week. I would be home, like I would take the first flight out
That's
Monday, get
right.
home by like 10:30, and then I would
Hmm.
take an afternoon flight on Thursday or Friday, and I would arrive at whatever location, whatever city we're at, kind of late a
Hmm.
lot of times, and have to like
Hmm.
go to my room and immediately set up and charge the batteries and do all the stuff. But the way that the schedule worked out for me was awesome for being home and like helping my wife and being a dad and whatever.
Yeah.
I had so much stuff to do before that first shoot. I had to go to Jupiter's offices in Knoxville and then
And you had to
drive all the
drive.
shit from Knoxville to
I
Orlando,
remember that.
and it's like
Yes.
a 14-hour drive or something, and they
Oh
were
my
like, hey,
gosh.
split it up, do it over 2 days. But I like to drive cross
Yeah.
country and like do road trips and stuff, so I was like, no way, I'm going straight through. It would be
Wow.
very annoying for me to stop in like just because they told me to, so I
Yeah.
was like, I'm just going to do this, and then can I have a hotel on this other room, and I won't charge you extra, you don't have to pay me for OT or whatever.
Right.
And they were like, sure, I guess if that's what you want. And I was like, okay, thank you. But then I also didn't know
Wow.
anyone except for Ben was the only
Ben.
person I knew. So I
Hmm.
wanted, like, when I'm going there, I'm just trying to get into my head again. But my first thing is like, I got to get there. I just checked all the gear out. I know it's good. Like, I need to get there, set it up, like, be useful. I got to prove my worth, prove why, he brought me on the show.
Hmm.
I was not at all thinking about the content of it. Although when he called me to sort of be like, hey, if you're interested, I'll give him your name. We'll start the process.
Right.
He did bring up the fact that it is like sensitive material.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know. I feel like whatever, if he can handle it, I could probably handle it. I don't think he'd call me if he didn't think I could handle it. But no, I was not prepared at all.
Yeah.
And like, there were certainly cases. Eventually, I stopped listening to the interviews
Yeah.
because I had two kids who were very young, and we
Yes.
did a lot of like
With
child
kids. Hmm.
stuff that
Hmm.
made me feel bad, like physically bad. So I would go and like take my headphone off, and like go into some other bedroom where I couldn't hear it and just like be there in case needed to change a card or a tape or, whatever it was. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I started thinking about like, ooh, how am I going to like figure this part out? Like the psychic trauma of like being around it
Yes.
is a
Right.
lot, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I thought about it at all until maybe 3 or 4 episodes in. Um, and it helped to have been around who'd done it. Bill did it this season before, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
um, and Bill rode in my car with the gear a lot of the time. So I could just be like, hey, whew, that was wild stuff. Like, I
Yeah.
cannot believe the things that this person said, this other person did. And he'd be like, yeah,
Yeah.
man, just having someone to be like, yeah, I know. It's crazy. And also, like, when I started to think about it, I had met Cal. I
Yeah.
think Cal is the same age. He might be like a year older than me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think his kids are the same ish age as my
Yeah.
kids. Like
Mm-hmm.
we had a lot of similarities immediately. And he's just like a normal dude.
He's just Cal.
Yeah. He
Mm-hmm.
liked Ben. He was hanging out with Ben watching
Mm-hmm.
like UFC or whatever. And then he's like, oh, you're cool with Ben? You should come hang out with us.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, all right. And just watching him, like, because his stuff is way more in depth, the stuff that
Uh,
he knows
y-
about and like goes
yes.
through
Yes.
and knows how to handle.
Right.
Um, I kind of just figured like if he can handle whatever we're doing on this show, plus
Mm-hmm.
all the other stuff, I
Mm-hmm.
can figure out how to deal with my own stuff. You know,
Mm.
my wife is also done. She was a rape crisis counselor, like volunteer in her early
Okay.
20s, and then she worked at this. She's worked at jobs like for that kind of stuff, and she worked at like crisis text line for a minute a long time ago.
Right.
So she's like, she worked at the Psych ED in Rochester. She knows how to handle all of the things. So
Yep.
I could come back to her and
Oh
be
boy.
like, "Huh, this one really got me." She would
Right.
offer good advice.
You're bringing up really important things. And first of all, thank you for sharing, like, and being so vulnerable about that because I know that we didn't have like those conversations right up front. And I think if I could have done something very differently in terms of my producing style back then, I probably, because let me frame it this way. So, as I shared, Ben, we would be meeting with him prior to us going out in the field. And that was also the time for me to run down the whole case, what we were going to be focusing on, who we were going to be interviewing. And I wish I would have prepared you all a bit more to say, hey, this case, it does involve children. There's X, Y, and Z in this, or, for that first shoot with a rape survivor. I think we also have to acknowledge that oftentimes when we are in this industry, when you get a job, you take it. Whether you're like going and doing the research about, the show or whatever it is that you're going on, fine. But when you hear, I think for me, especially as a primarily true crime producer, I expected certain things, but I did not expect the child factor. Even though I knew that was probably a part of it, I didn't necessarily want to tap in there just yet until
Mm-hmm.
it finally happened. And then I had to go and start producing those episodes. And so it was more about like me internalizing that rather than checking on all of you and how you were all internalizing that. Because you're right. I think I do remember you going off and like separating yourself at time and so knowing that now, and I was just going to ask you because you are a dad. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of these cases were also bringing up new terms. Like I didn't know what sextortion was when
Oh, me
Cal
neither.
first said that. Sitting down and listening to these girls share their story was just like,
It's yucky.
this is not what I was expecting, right? And again, and
Right.
I get like a case overview, so I don't know the minute details just yet because I'm not the one doing the pre-interviews in that producing role. So transitioning a little bit into being there for each other and being that support system, because the one thing that we take away from all of this is, as everyone has heard now, is how we would unite at the end of these shoots. And we would go and we would eat. Sometimes y'all would go to like sports games.
Oh yeah.
I loved learning about what y'all did because mine was so chill, usually half the time. So yeah, talk to me about that, of just like being able to have that support system, just like you said, with Bill, and being able to like offload with each other, but then also going and like creating actual self-care, for you all. So talk to me about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's Ben too. Ben was a great
Yeah.
resource. I don't want to leave anyone out. Everybody is fine.
Yeah.
Yoshi too. I talk with everyone. I talk a lot. And I don't know. I just going back, like I don't know that there's anything you can do to prepare anyone for like
Yeah.
the broad scope. I think
True.
that if I can remember, which I can't, the conversation that I had with Ben when he asked me about it did bring up, you know, a wide he cast a wide net, just like
Hmm.
there's like very serious stuff. There's murder, rape, like sexual assault, all of it.
Right. Right.
And I was just kind of like, okay, like I knew it was not the happy fun, like, oh look, he forgot the
Hmm.
baking soda, the cake's not
Hmm.
rising.
Right.
um
Right.
and also like he was like, you need to be not you need to be more serious or whatever, but like I talk a lot all the time,
Hmm.
make jokes
Hmm.
about all the stuff because that's the way that I feel better. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But he was like, you got to chill with that stuff on these ones. You'll
Hmm.
figure out the time and place, obviously.
Hmm.
I don't know that he needed to say it, but it did help to
Hmm.
hear it from him. And then, like, him and Bill are pretty stoic at work. And
Hmm.
I think that helped too to have like a at work persona of sorts where you're like, here we are doing the thing.
Hmm.
It is about respecting the person's story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I like
Absolutely.
to talk to people, and I think it's interesting when people share what they really think, or if people have interesting stories
Hmm.
when they share it honestly and openly, and like
Hmm.
these, I mean, interesting is the wrong word for what these people are sharing, but it is like a unique experience that happened. And it is not a lot of times like not believable. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't come up with the stuff that happened because
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
I don't think about that kind of stuff because I don't
Right.
want to because it makes me sad, and
Right.
like I don't go see horror movies because I don't like feeling scared. That's
Yeah.
true. I
Yeah.
haven't seen one since like Hostel. Oh, I was gonna say it is nice to have like this sort of work persona where you're like business, business, business,
Yeah.
and you mean it, and it's not fake, and it's not like put on or whatever. But then when you're outside of work, it's like you can turn it off, you can kind of put it over there. I guess compartmentalization is the best
Yes.
word for it.
Yes. Yes.
And I know
Hmm.
that was bad at one point, right? Wasn't like compartmentalization like a bad way to deal with things at some point? And then they're like, but wait, it's good for some stuff.
Yeah, I think when you're working with heavy trauma, it's gonna happen regardless. Because just like you said, the way that you were sometimes processing that was like breaking the ice or being funny. And in Yoshi's interview, he says, Kyle was our class clown. You were the one to
Yeah,
get us laughing. But I think, yeah, we kind of have to put it away, because
right.
I would have to turn it off too. I mean, this
Oh,
is
for sure.
usually, like why we would all end up like having a beer or like whatever we needed to do to disassociate.
Yeah,
That's what got us through it, I
yeah.
think. So yeah.
And I'm fine with like, there's been many times where like the Chili's or the TGI Fridays is in the
Hmm.
parking lot of the Hampton Inn and Suites that you're staying in.
Hmm.
And that's a bummer because you're gonna go there because it's
Hmm.
so easy, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
But it's okay sometimes to just
Yeah.
like go sit there, eat terrible nachos, have a beer or whatever,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
just kind of like let it all come out so you
Right.
can go back and do the next day.
Right.
But I
And
did
it's
like
hard.
the dinners you missed out because I did like they did season 5 or whatever.
I know.
I mean, they took like a lot away. There's budget issues. There appears to be budget issues on every show that I've worked on in the past 3.5 years or whatever. Like after
Uh-huh.
the COVID money ran out. Now there's
The
budget
COVID
issues
money.
everywhere, and
Yes.
you can't get enough
Mm-hmm.
people to do the job correctly. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, Scott Conant, the judge from Chopped,
Mm-hmm.
he has a restaurant in Atlanta, and I told him I was going down there because I was working Chopped and IP5 at the same time.
Oh,
Like I would
damn.
work in New York during the week and then fly to New York on like Thursday night at
Yeah.
10, arrive in Atlanta, build all
Yeah.
the gear, shoot Friday, Saturday, Sunday, fly back Sunday to New York
Jeez.
to go do Chopped for the week. But there
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
I didn't know when shows were going to come back the way they used to. So I
Correct.
figured, let me get the money now while I can have the money.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
anywho, I told him I was going to Atlanta, and I was like, "Are you going to be there?" Because I know he goes down and checks on all the restaurants. He's like, "I'm not going to be there, but here's this number for this, my events lady or what do they call it? Front of house manager
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
person,
Right.
whatever that job
Yeah.
is." He's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, they'll set you up, blah 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 blah." So
Right.
we went like the whole everybody
Team.
went down there, and it was
Mm.
pretty great. I had to
Oh
go to
my
Walmart because I
gosh.
didn't have any like nice clothes, and it's kind of a nice place. So I went and bought like a button-up shirt from Walmart.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, Mr.
Yeah.
Joyce, right this way.
Oh my
Rachel was
gosh.
making fun of me for the way they were treating me.
You were the
But
top dog.
the food was really good, I will say. And they
I would
gave us a bunch
imagine.
of free stuff. Like they totally took care of us. It was great.
Wow. Oh, I
Yeah,
am
we had a
so
nice little
jealous.
dinner. It was
Ugh,
awesome.
that's
But I remember
amazing.
ours were cool too.
Hmm.
We did go to a couple. I went to a baseball game with Yoshi, and
Yes, I remember hearing
we went to one in Houston. I
that.
think that was the one that you got COVID. Like we went to an Astros game at some point.
That was, uh-huh. I remember
Yeah,
hearing that y'all went then.
it was
That
good.
makes me happy. I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you got to do another run with them. Because I think that's the other part of it is the familial side, and which I love to talk about with people because this is not this is not common
No,
at
and it
all.
makes all the difference in the world. Like
Oh.
I've done other stuff. The guys at Chopped, the people at Chopped, the
Hmm.
the core people have stayed the same for the most part. Like sometimes someone will get a show, they're not available for whatever run, but then
Right.
they come back the next time. Like I've done it, I've been at that show for like 10 years,
Oh
more or
my
less,
God.
on and off in
Really?
different positions or whatever. But
Wow.
since COVID, sort of been like
Hmm.
one of the main AC utility, whatever people.
Right. Right.
And it's like all my buddies. That's where
Yeah.
like I have those people. I did these house hunting shows, and it would be different crews, but it was all a mixture of the same people. Just this person wasn't available, so we'll put these people together. And it's
Hmm.
so it's so much better when everybody knows everybody,
Yeah.
and you know how the show works, and
Hmm.
like you can work as a team as you should be able to,
Hmm.
with very minimal effort.
Yeah. I would love to talk to you about though the
Go.
the mishaps in the field, meaning like you just have to pivot and you just have to make it work. Do you have some examples of those during your time with In Pursuit, especially when we're talking again, because we're talking about high stress scenarios. I know when that first shoot, we went out to like the crime scene. The winds were bananas. We had to, stand around and wait for the winds, like stuff like that, where you are just literally thrown in it and you have to figure it out. Can you break that down for people of like what that's actually like?
It's the best. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
keeps the job fun for
Yeah.
me. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? If it was the same thing over and over and over again, like it gets boring after a
Yeah.
while.
Hmm.
But the whole point of like being in the field, and the reason it's different than anything else, is that like you are out there. It feels to me like if I have a marketable skill and I try to
Hmm.
explain to people what I do, like my parents or my aunts and old people or people who don't do it,
Hmm.
you have to be like, I go get the television. Like they drop me in the field with whatever they decide to give me in whatever condition it's in. And then
Hmm.
from that point on, it's my job to make sure that I can come up with creative solutions to get however close we can in the circumstances we're in to what
Right.
we want. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
in particular, we lost a bunch of stuff because they FedEx the gear. which I loved.
Yeah.
Normally, as an AC, um, you have to travel with the gear, and I
Mhm.
think we had like 26 cases or something like that of just gear.
Yeah.
And it's a nightmare. It's truly a terrible, terrible thing for any
Uh-huh.
person to do.
Mhm.
You have to pack the van, drive it to the airport, unpack the van, bring it to the desk, go park the car, talk to the desk people, put it on the plane, get on the plane, arrive, get it off the thing, count, make sure, oh, I got 24. Which two am I missing? Do I need those two?
Oh my
I guess I'll have to
God.
start thinking about, like it's happened before where we've arrived and I get a text when I like land from Yoshi. It's like, hey, we're missing case 13. Like we had a whole system where it was like we numbered
Yeah.
the cases, and then we had this Google Drive doc where it was like, this is what's in these cases. So we'd have to
Wow.
pack them the same way every time. So we know that if we show up, it's like, oh, okay, we don't have the big monitor and we don't have the lens for the C camera.
Good
And then it's
Lord.
like, all right, get to work. It's also a Thursday or a Friday, and it's
Yeah.
probably after 4, right? So
Yeah.
you have about 2 hours before the rental houses in the town that you're in, if they exist, start closing. So you have to
Mhm.
start. Like you're never not doing
Working.
it.
Yeah.
But that was what would happen most of the time.
Yeah.
Is they'd be like, well, it's out for delivery. Maybe it'll be here by the end of the night. And I would say most of the time when we were missing something, it would come
It would show up.
within the next couple of days. And sometimes we just wouldn't have a monitor for the producers. And,
Mhm.
I'd tell Ben, and Ben would be like, okay, can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
You know, hey,
Yeah.
guess what? We don't have it. And they say, whatever. And
Yeah.
then we just continue to do it.
Right.
It gets
Right.
harder when you're missing lights or tripods or cameras, whatever, but you can also generally source all that stuff.
Right.
So
That's great.
it is
I'm glad to hear it.
it is the best part.
Yeah.
People, when you get emails from the, like me personally, when I get emails from the post people, like the people who edit everything, and
Mhm.
they're like, huh, why didn't you do a slate on this one thing this one time? And I'm like, why didn't the world work perfectly every single time? If you got out of your editing suite, touched some grass, like you would understand that sometimes it doesn't go that way, and that's okay. Guess what? All the footage is there. You can still make the show. Please don't bother
Exactly.
me 4 months after I did this shoot. That's the best. Is I like won't remember. The post person will be like, I do one day on a job, and they're like, why isn't this where it should be in the folder? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. I don't remember this at all.
And it's a blur. You were running around the country
Yeah,
for
it's like you
weeks on
guys
weeks
gave
on
me
weeks.
a bunch of broken stuff that I have to like make this television program out of.
Oh, hell. Wow.
With
Well,
people, I mean, you don't know the people either. I think
no.
the first day, like I think you wore. I remember this because I was like, oh, there's all these new people. I have to meet. Bill's plane was late, so I don't know if you remember that, but like
I remember
Bill's
that.
plane wouldn't take off from Albany for some reason.
That's right.
And they were like, we were in Orlando, but they were like, oh, check it out. Bill can get on this one plane and he'll go to Tampa and then he'll just drive. We'll get like an Uber because he'll just drive across the state of
Oh
Florida to
my
come for
God.
this thing. He'll be there right in time for the interview the next day. And so on the side, Ben is like, hey, man, you might have to do this interview. Like, I'll walk you through the whole thing, but like, you might have to like camera operate
That's
as well.
right.
And I was just like,
Yes.
what? Like, everything's changing. There's all new people, like you,
Yes.
Yoshi, audio, PA, Rachel, like
Uh-huh.
everybody's new. Haven't met Cal. And
Yeah.
then it's like day one. I also have to stay at the Airbnb like for
I
that
was
one.
just gonna ask. I was like, weren't you at that house?
Yeah, they like made me sleep there because they asked me if I would be okay with it in the way that production companies ask you to do the thing for them and hoping that you won't say no, you know? They're like, hey, we usually have like the AC stay at the house, if you're comfortable with that. If not, totally fine. We can get you a hotel room and you can stay with the rest of the crew and have like a great time if you want to. But mostly we like to have you like far away in the swamps of Florida where all the weird swamp people, you know how many noises there were? Like I would pray that I could fall asleep within 10
Oh,
minutes because you just all of a sudden hear like, and like footsteps in the swampy marsh thing. And it had a pool and a hot tub and that was fun or whatever. But I was like, I
no,
locked
I
it.
remember your face after night one.
I
I was like,
locked
how
every
was it?
door and I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. but whatever. It's only 2 more days. But I was gonna say, I remember you're talking about like unexpected things happening and
Yeah.
whatever. And I think the first day I'm like meeting everyone and trying to figure out what everyone does and how we're all gonna work together. And I think
Hmm.
you had like a sundress on. It was nice. It was like 80 degrees, whatever, and like some open-toed sand, like some
Yeah.
cute, cute sandal
A whole
things.
fit.
And
Hmm.
I was just kind of like, huh, she must be like, you know, maybe she's from the network or whatever. Cause like, doesn't she know that like there's a good chance that we could need her to like lift up stuff and carry things, and if she drops a thing on her foot, like it'll break
Yeah.
her toe.
You
And then I was just
know,
like, oh, okay.
well, I think what it was, and I will say this because, yeah, I mean, truly, that had only been like my third time out in the field for a project. The first times being my own film.
Right.
And I always dressed to the nines because I started realizing people will take me more seriously
Yeah.
if I'm
Well, and
dressed
you're
up.
like a producer and you were an
Yeah.
important, like, not
Yeah.
that you're not important, but you know what I mean?
No,
I
but I
dress like,
remember.
please don't pay attention to me. I'll be over here doing things.
Oh, I had to do a Target run that
Oh, to
trip
get clothes?
to get. So I reversed. Yes, I had to go get just
Less fancy.
frumpy clothes. Yes. So
Yeah.
we did the opposite. So
Yeah.
Rachel, I remember, yes, because we all met up that first night. Because we also have to scout the location. We also had to we look at everything, right? And
Right.
sometimes I would be there or not, but I decided to go because it already had been a shit show. I think that's why I met Ben right away because I think him and I had to carpool eventually. His plans changed, whatever. So yes, I remember that Rachel, and I think the first shoot day I still was like dressed up and Rachel was like, "I promise you don't have to like do that. Like you can wear your sneakers, you can
Right.
just wear like gym clothes, sweatshirts, whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, fine." Like, I can do that. And after that, oh, I was
Oh, it's
golden.
the best. I
Yeah.
know a guy,
Yeah.
he's like an older camera operator who wears sweatpants, and everybody makes fun of him all the time on Chopped.
Whatever.
He's
Yeah.
like the A cam on Chopped. Joe Bondaluch, shout out to you. But like everybody makes fun of him for wearing these stupid sweatpants. And I'm just kind of like, you know what?
Whatever.
This guy's a visionary. Like, I'm going to start
Exactly.
wearing sweatpants to work. Who
Do
cares?
it.
That's the
Exactly.
only. That's the only like schism between me and the Ben Wolf disciples is like Corey, Bill, Dave, Ben will all wear like a button up shirt,
Yeah.
from like Marshalls or wherever.
Yeah.
Like just a nice little button up, some semblance of presentability.
Hmm.
And then you have like the worker pants and the boots and whatever, but a nice little button up. I don't, I can't do it.
I love that though. I
No.
love it. And I love that that stayed with you. Like that you remember that
I
3 years
mean,
later. That's hilarious.
I don't remember a ton of stuff to be honest, but
But that stuck with you.
that was the
So,
first shoot, you
and it
know?
was the first shoot. It was, like I said, it was just all over the place. That house was so weird.
Yeah, it
And the
was
vibe was weird. Like once you walked
very much so.
in, like it just, I remember, and the mirrors, I forgot about the mirrors.
I kept
And
I kept
yeah.
moving everything because I was like trying to make it so that it would work. So I would like put all the gear. I put a lot of thought into it, and I was like, I should put all the
Yeah.
gear in this room. And then,
Oh
you
my
know,
God.
that was before I had this sort of shorthand. And Ben walked in, and he's like, "Oh, you should move all that out there." And I was like, "Oh, fuck, man! Like I just did this for like the last hour. These things are heavy. Like it sucks."
And I
But
just remembered you had to also move the gear to our hotel,
yes,
like either a day or two before we
yeah, we
wrapped
had to
out.
get out of that Airbnb for whatever
Yes.
reason.
Yes. And I remember you had to then, we had to get a whole room. And what a nightmare. Like, first shoot, like in reality. I mean, it was a shit show for every single person, obviously, like Yoshi and I
Yeah,
talked about, on our ends of things. But it just speaks to the well-oiled machine that eventually became. Like by the time we got to Scranton, Pennsylvania, we
right.
had figured things out and we just went with the flow. One of the things though that I would love to talk to you about too is that I want to transition to Cal because just
Okay.
as you said, you didn't get to meet Cal that first night. Like I said, we were scouting. So my first real interaction with him was our very first family dinner. What was your first interaction with him, and like where were you at? Because I was terrified of him.
Oh, I don't know. A lot of the other shows, like the talent doesn't
Yeah,
mingle with the crew. Like the
correct.
the
Right.
family dinner stuff would be like it was always a hassle. And Dave Cavallo, the other guy, you don't know him, but a disciple of Ben Wolf. He's the best at it. He's gotten to the
Yeah.
point where like he doesn't. There's no talking. It's just
Yeah.
Dave. He's like really into craft beer, and he's really into like seasonal farm to table, like whatever that
Hell yeah.
Brooklyn hipster aesthetic. He's not a hipster, but that thing that exists,
Yeah.
he's the best at finding the one or two in the town you're
Yeah.
in rural Ohio or North Carolina.
Fair.
So whenever I was on the shoot with him, is like Dave would just text, "I'm going to this place at this time. They have this beer and this food, and then maybe if we have time and we feel like it, we can go to this other bar later, which has a great beer list." There
Yeah.
was no like, "Hey guys, does everyone want to go?" He was just saying, "I'm doing this. Come
Yeah.
if you want. Forget
Yeah.
about it."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I'll do whatever he says." Like I don't want to think about it. I certainly don't want to text 9 people for 45 minutes
Yeah.
about whether or not we can push it 10 minutes later because we're still calling, our
Yeah.
wives or husbands or
Right.
FaceTiming our kids or whatever.
Right.
It just makes it really easy. But I think the first family dinner or whatever in Orlando, are you talking about the one that was at like that weird, like it's over by Disney and like all of the waiters are like Eastern European? Is that what you're talking
Wait,
about?
was that the one? Yes. Well,
That's my
but
first
remember,
one.
it was a shit show because I
Oh, it was
had made
terrible because we went to
reservations
like
at a
one
different place.
place that turned
Yes.
out it was closed. Yeah, I know.
It wasn't even open.
I
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
remember.
yeah. And then we went to this like steakhouse, and then it
We
had
took
like a
longer
gift shop.
getting to the place than we did eating in the place, but it was, I mean, the whole experience was absurdist comedy at its height, and
I completely forgot about that actually
it was
until right now.
wonderful. It was wonderful because I
It was
would
good
look at,
food,
yeah, I mean, I
shockingly.
would look at Bill and be like, "Are we like, what is happening right now?" And he's like, "Dude, I don't know. Like, let's just follow them, and then we'll get to the place, and then we'll eat the food, and then we can go home afterwards." And I was like, "Okay, whatever you say." Yeah, but no, the food was good, and
Yeah.
normally the talent doesn't hang out after the shoot, so I was like
Mm-hmm.
prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
But then
Here he
uh,
is.
I think he sat down next to Ben and just started like chatting about whatever
Mm-hmm.
sports and like
Mm-hmm.
dude stuff, brah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, this guy's cool. I was trying not to talk to him too much because I didn't want to. I do the thing where I like say some dumb shit sometimes and
Yeah.
immediately ruin a potential relate. You know what I mean? But I don't think I could have in this one
No.
anyway.
No, not a
But
chance.
I was holding myself back
Yeah.
pretty hard.
Yeah.
Um, and that was the first one. And I remember afterwards, like, oh, I don't think I have to do that. Like, he seems pretty
Chill.
normal.
Mm-hmm.
I think his parent, like, I think John, they have a lake house up in the Finger Lakes, like where I live. And I
Yeah.
know there's a Nick Mick office in Rochester because
Mm-hmm.
John is from like this, it's like 40 minutes away, this town in between Syracuse and Rochester.
Yeah.
But I like have known about John Walsh forever and ever, obviously.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did not know that there were other kids before this thing. I
Yeah.
I like heard that one story and then, was a kid and moved on and did a bunch of other stuff and,
Right.
I saw America's Most Wanted and whatever, but
Right.
did not investigate anything further on my part. Just kind of
Yeah.
moved on and focused on other
Right.
stuff.
Right.
But so it was like when eventually I came around to like meeting Cal and knowing Cal, I was just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, huh, weird. Like here's this guy, normal dude,
Yeah.
whatever. Like we're hanging out, chit chatting about what movies we like or what show we're watching or
Right.
doing silly things with our kids or whatever. And then
Yeah.
he turns around and like some switch turns on and he's like, I am the president of NCMEC and like I know all this stuff and I'm good at things and I'm an advocate for children and blah blah blah. And I think it's
Mhm.
impressive. Like, I don't know how he does it,
Mhm. That's
but
why he's so special, like, in terms
oh
of,
yeah,
like, when he's I mean, his episode's nearly 3 hours long, right?
I know. I
I
listened to it. I listened to the whole thing.
Good, I'm
Yeah,
glad, but I
I
wanted
listened to
people to
all of
take
them
that
though.
away. Oh, well, good, I'm glad.
It was nice to
Because
hear everyone again. But yeah,
yeah, and hear everyone's perspective, which is why I said to you, I want to hear your perspective because I want to know
I'm
what
happy.
everyone's thought was like that
Oh
thought
yeah,
process, because I know what my thought process was. So then that's why it was so important for me to recognize all of you and all of the jobs that you do, because at the end of the day, it's a team effort. I mean, you have a capture. Like these are
oh
things
that's true.
now that are hopefully meaningful to you because again, it is a lot of hard work. And I want to recognize the hard work. Just everything that you shared with what you have to do with gear and driving those 14 hours. I mean, I know that's just like a sliver of things that you had to do, but it's important that I take a moment and have listeners understand like it's not just the talent and it's not just producers. It's a whole machine of all of us. And it's important that we have these conversations, especially when we're in the true crime field, because that's what I'm trying to do with this podcast is to really humanize what our jobs are. And so when we are going and working with the Walsh family, um, that adds a whole other layer because you're right. Cal knows when to turn it on and
It's
he can turn it
wild.
off. And
He can,
he can do both at the same time
yeah, he'll
as well.
go. He does hop, because we'll be like hanging out, waiting for somebody to get there or
Hmm.
whatever,
Hmm.
and we'll be at like some sheriff's office or whatever, and we're hanging
Hmm.
out, chit chatting, setting up. Like we're pretty much set up, so we're just kind of like bullshitting,
Yeah,
and he's there, and we're just kind of like blah 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 blah, sports sports sports, whatever whatever,
right.
and then he turns around and like the sheriff walks in to see how it's going, and it's just like boom, hey, what's up? Like I'm Cal, and blah blah blah, Nick Mick,
Yes.
et cetera, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then the guy's like, all right, well, I'll be back in 5 minutes. Immediate turnaround, turns it right off, and is like, oh yeah, I had this for dinner the other night, or my flight was delayed. This was very annoying.
Yeah.
And like he could just go for like 40 minutes straight. I've seen
Hmm.
that too, where I'm just kind of like, what?
Yeah.
I used to memorize monologues and stuff, but like,
Hmm.
and I did improv comedy, if you believe it. I was in jazz choir, but
Whoa.
I don't think I could do that, like that thing he does.
Yeah. The
That's
cow
not for
thing.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
I'm
okay.
impressed and in awe always.
100%. I love this.
I think part of it is because like I don't know, I don't think about him like that. I just think of him as like a dude that I'm kind of friends with a little bit. So I don't think
Yeah.
about like the work he does.
Yeah. I
But
think that was but even so, but I'll even share with you. I was terrified at the beginning of that episode with him because that was also the
yeah,
first time him and I have seen each other face to face, as it's our first time seeing each other face to face. It's almost 3 years.
yeah.
But then like t 5 minutes in, I was like, what the hell am I worried about? This is just Cal.
Oh, he puts you at ease immediately. It's like he's
Right,
cradling you
right,
like a little baby,
right,
like
right.
wow,
And then you're
it's
like,
great.
oh, it's just this. But I think that's like I shared when Rachel told me, hey, I want you on the show. I would love for you to be my AP. I mean, I was very confused because I was just like, why? Why me? Why? And
Yeah,
so knowing that it was Benj who brought you in, you already had this relationship with each other, also just a professional understanding of each other. I mean, there is no better like team building component because then you add in the fact that here's Rachel who had been working, on and off with this family for over 15 years as well. Just all of us had very different lives, obviously, but how we all united together was very beautiful. And then with it being the Walsh family. So I want to jump really quickly to one last question before we get to know Kyle a bit more. I guess a couple more questions,
but
but
wait, let me say
yes,
something real quick if that's all right.
please,
So
please.
that sort of uh telepathy or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
happens, like
Mhm.
I people will ask me, why do you like doing this, whatever, and like what is it, what do you compare it to or whatever. And so the like on Chopped, which is the one I have the most experience with, but on any sort of like multicam
Yeah,
competition show,
yeah,
you are all working together as a team,
right.
to accomplish the goal of like shooting the best round you can. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up playing basketball in college.
Oh.
Um, yeah, not in high school, just in college.
Oh.
But it was Division
Nice.
three, and Emerson. We used to joke it was called Division Theater because it was like the lowest Division three school. Now it's much better, and I
Yeah.
don't really understand. They have a 7 foot German kid playing on their team right now.
Damn.
I don't get it. I don't understand. It's like the
Wow.
theateriest school in the world.
Yeah.
But anyway, I played basketball in college, and I'm not very good. But there would be some times where like everyone, you don't have to be very good if you do the job you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like, and everyone is working as like one hive mind kind of thing, and you know that if I go over here and I set a pick, or like in the competition reality cooking thing, we
Mm-hmm.
would have these rounds where like the judges would cook against each other and they're super good. Like everybody's very good. So
Yeah.
you have to be like following the action harder, I guess, or
Yeah.
more intensely than you would normally because you can kind of take some days off and just kind of like do it regular how you've done it for 10 years.
Right.
But then when it's like a big time competition at the end of a tournament or whatever, you have really good people cooking, it does get heightened, like a championship game for sports or whatever. And
Yeah.
there are moments in those rounds where it feels like a soccer game or a basketball game where like this guy who's shooting this person is out of position. Like he went over here to go get this thing, get this great shot,
I
and
see what you're saying.
everybody's looking and shooting and observing and understanding like if this guy's over here, I'm going to slide over here to make sure that he's covered and then this guy's going to see me slide over here and take my guy, so like there are
Damn.
moments of that hive mind like teamwork
Almost like
thing.
choreography. Yeah.
It is a little bit like that, but like improv choreography or whatever
Sure.
you want to
Right.
call it.
Right.
And like there have been times, and this is the cheesiest thing in the whole wide world, but there have been times after rounds like that where like we're done. We put the cameras down and we stand around and clap for each other because like if you've done it enough,
Yeah.
like, woo, that shit was special. And there'll be near misses all the time. Like a steady
Mm.
cam guy is running over there and like this guy ran this way and they didn't see each other, but they just missed each other. You know what I mean? Or
Oh
like the
my
jib's coming
God.
down here and this guy slides on his knees to go under it or whatever. Like the whole thing, it gets wild and like partially a little bit dangerous, maybe, I guess, if you consider food competition reality dangerous. But when it
There's times.
works,
Yeah.
when it works like that,
Uh-huh.
you feel it. If you're tapped into the whole thing and you're
Mm.
watching and you're trying to like make sure people don't run into each other and make sure that everybody knows what's going on and whatever. If you're when you see it happen and you feel it happen,
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome. And you can get doesn't have to be competition reality, like I
Yeah.
have felt that on shows with Ben and on I in pursuit as well, where you're just like,
Yeah.
like we just really tidily crushed. Like we showed up, did our job, kept our imprint small, no one had to ask for anything. We were just like doing the thing before the person asked for it and like got what we needed, did a good interview, respected whatever. Like we just showed up, did our job, packed everything back in the van and go home. And then you can feel good about it.
I loved learning that right now. I
Oh, yeah.
my brain is like my brain immediately went to TOC, the Tournament of Champions. People are going to hear my Food Network
Oh,
nerding
yeah.
out right now. Uh, I don't think I've ever sat down and like fully thought about all the camera work because
There's
it's
a
just
lot.
there's so much and you're right. Like I
They
would
have like
imagine just as you
20.
described.
I mean, Chopped has 6 cameras
Holy
at the
shit.
beginning of every round.
Yeah,
There's like 6 on the people and then 2 on the judges,
right.
a couple robocams or whatever. And so
Wow.
people are, running back and forth to the pantry, going to the fryer, doing all the stuff, got to get the plates, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But that thing exists elsewhere. I mean, that's the only
Yeah.
time in a competition food show, like when you're in the cooking round and the time's on the clock, that's the only time that it's relatable to like doing a field show because
Yeah.
like you have to do the thing. You've started the clock already.
Hmm.
As soon as we land or as soon as we get on the plane, the clock has started.
Yes.
We have 72 hours to like do the episode,
Hmm.
and there are structure that we should follow, but
Hmm.
also for sure Like there is no time ever in the history of mankind that something does not screw up, and most of the time it's just planes and people's getting in late, whatever. But
Yeah.
something will go the way it's not supposed to. So
100%. And it speaks to just the adaptability of the crew, and hell yeah. I loved that you just shared that. Thank you. Like, I
oh
really
sure.
hope people appreciate that because, like I said, to me, the behind the scenes is so interesting because I don't know a ton, obviously,
Hmm.
as a producer. So hearing this and that perspective, like, chef's kiss, no pun intended. I love it.
I'm not sure if I'm just looking for a reason to like justify doing this, you know what I mean?
No, I
But
like, but I
it is
like
fun
learning
when
that.
it happens.
Yeah,
It's
because
all your best friends and you're
it's all
doing
your
good
best
stuff.
friends and you're doing good stuff. You're
Yeah.
doing stuff that the world is watching. I mean, I think there's a lot of disassociation like in that factor. I know for myself sometimes if
Probably
if
just
I
put
think
it on in
about
the
it,
background.
yeah, or
Yeah.
like I don't know. I think sometimes it's weird to believe like what our jobs are and that you'll see our work at the end, like people will
Mhm.
watch it and that somehow sometimes makes me uncomfortable. A little bit. Not that it's bad, but it's a weird mind thing for me sometimes. So just having you break that down, knowing because Chopped is obviously a loved show in this house, uh yeah, I'm just nerding out about it. And I love hearing the contrast of what we did together versus like what you also do here. And so just
Yeah.
balancing those two things. I love it. I appreciate that. I want to talk to you about, though, really, really quickly about that episode, though, that we did have because John and Cal would usually do one episode
Oh yeah. I did get
together.
nervous for that one.
Talk to me about that since I also wasn't there because I still had COVID. So, yeah, what was that shoot like for you?
I don't know. I mean, they talked a lot about it beforehand because I had never done it. You know,
Yeah,
I had
right.
not done the two man shoot before, and there
Mm-hmm.
was like an RV involved at some
Mm-hmm.
point as a
Mm-hmm.
dressing room. I've done shows where we have an RV as the dressing room. That
Right.
wasn't really that weird.
Yeah.
But going from like, when Cal was there, he just popped in the car with us. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's an extra seat. You want to ride in this one or that one?
Right.
Like it wasn't like TV legend John Walsh or whatever, if that's how he
Mm-hmm.
sees himself. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. Um,
Yeah.
they were like, don't fuck this up, basically. And I was
Yeah.
just kind of like, okay, could you give me more information? Like, do you think I will fuck it up? And if so, in which way? So I can prevent myself from doing so. And also, like, maybe a more constructive criticism would be helpful.
Yeah.
But I think they were just messing with me, really.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like my job, I'm just setting the stuff up, carrying it, putting it over there. Like you tell me what to do, I will go do that. I'm trying to think
Right.
ahead of people so that I can be prepared to
Mm-hmm.
go.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, the only thing is it was in Florida again,
Yeah.
like half of the freaking season 4, Florida
Was in
or
Florida.
Texas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was hot and I was sweating. Like I sweat a lot most of the time.
It was
And so,
June.
yeah, I know.
June in Florida.
But he was like, because he's also from
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and he's like, "Oh, Rochester, like, come on, man, wipe off your face. You look disgusting," or something. But he was just like busting my balls, because we're from the same place or whatever.
Right.
And I was like,
Right.
okay, I like this guy. He was. I didn't have a ton of interaction or whatever with him, but whatever little interaction I did, I was like, I get it. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's got to be
Yeah.
so weird to be that dude. You know, you talk about like people's stories and sharing them or whatever, but like his stuff's just going on and on and on. I've never had a
For
thing,
decades. Yeah.
and I've never had a thing that I've stuck with that long. Like this
Mm-hmm.
job in general, I think I've been doing like on-set production stuff for 10 plus years now,
Yeah.
but that's it for me. Like I never
Right.
responded to some horrible tragedy and like then created a thing that became. I was listening to the Cal one, and he said 450,000 kids or whatever that they found, and I was like, "Holy
Yeah.
shit!" Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
how can you truly understand that as like
Mm-hmm.
one person who was there at the beginning, who was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh yeah, we've helped half of 1 million kids not have horrible things happen to them at that exact moment, you know?
Exactly.
Like
Right.
that's bananas. And
Mm-hmm.
I had this friend, my buddy's wife, she was like, she's an attorney and she used to work for like Southern District, New York, and then she was a AUSA in Buffalo. And I told her I was doing the show because our kids are friends.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "Oh, Nick Mick, we use Nick Mick all the time. Like Nick Mick is truly, there's all these
Wow.
federal resources that we can go for as,
Yep.
an attorney of the United States of America, like the sort of
Mm-hmm.
highest level before you get to whatever special investigator, like she's like a real boss lady doing
Yeah.
all sorts of crazy stuff. And she's like the only organization that we trust to be reliable is NCMEC. Like they have the best data. They respond to us promptly,
Yeah.
like
Yes,
every
they
other
do.
organization that like the FBI. She's talking about like the FBI and the
Yep.
CIA and stuff. And she's like, we prefer to use these other guys
Yeah.
because they run their shit right.
Immediately.
And
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. And which is why I wanted to share like exactly, how quickly Cal and his team there are responsive. Like, and I shared I had to reach out to him for an actual concern uh involving children, and he got back to me in less than 5 minutes. And
It's
then
wild.
his team was like he was like, "Kate, you're going to contact this person. This person's going to be ready for you." Da 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 da.
That's so cool.
Done and done. And
I didn't
yes.
think people did that anymore. Like appropriately
Yeah.
addressed situations with the level of seriousness and response
Mhm.
necessary.
Mhm. Mhm.
It
Which
does
I
feel
was
like
surprised.
rare. Yeah.
It is rare, and it is, but it spoke to exactly who Cal is, who Nick Mick is, like all of it, because it is so important that they exist first of all, and how much they actually do, which is why I wanted him to talk about that side as well. But yeah, to
Oh
speak
sure.
to, that attorney, same thing. I mean, it's true. Like they are the best of
I
the
just had to.
best, and it is I'm so glad you shared that.
Yeah, she said it to
So
me like 3 years
yeah.
ago and I was like, I gotta get this in
Wow.
somehow.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you did then. Well,
Yeah.
see, there's a purpose that you're on this podcast. So,
Yes.
last but not least, what advice would you give to an AC who's looking to break into this industry, one, but if they were to segue into true crime, what would your advice be?
mm, I don't know. Right now it's tough, like
Yeah. Oh,
but
I
like
know.
I know
Hmm.
people and I'm sure you do as well that have not worked more than like a week or a couple days
Hmm.
here and there in going on 18 months. Like,
Hmm.
for whatever reason, right
Hmm.
now is a bloodbath for the
Hmm.
people who work in television.
Hmm.
And everyone is just kind of hanging their hopes on the fact that it can't be like this forever. But
Right.
I don't think a lot of people are thinking about it could get worse.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, I know I think about it from time to time. But if there
Daily.
was an AC who's
Yeah.
trying to get into this, I think I would say, you know, you have to be a full person, like
Mm.
observant, because everyone, you can download or like memorize the manuals of all the cameras and know how to put the lenses on and all that stuff. And that's all part of the job for sure.
Mhm.
But I think the thing that like separates people is obviously it's your relationships.
Yeah.
Like I worked with Ben one time, and then I was like, oh, I like the way this guy does it. He's so clear in communication,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
he doesn't say extra things either to like make you. He doesn't like mess with you a little bit
Yeah.
unless it's to like bust your balls, which I
Right.
enjoy. It's my love language. Um, but you do have to like be observant, I think,
Yeah.
and be a full person. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it can't the shows you work on and the cameras you use and like the gear and the situations you find yourself in cannot be the thing that you pull your self-worth from
Right.
because there's always the cycle used to be that January, February, March was slow, and then it'd pick up, and then we'd all work for the rest of the year. But there was
Mhm.
always built into that, like that little, I'll never work again. No one will ever love me.
Yeah.
Like that period of time where you have to figure out.
Mhm.
And I was not very good at it for the first couple years, for sure.
Yeah.
And my wife can tell you, like I used to just like mope, like mope around the house and be like, well, no one will ever hire me. I saw this person's getting hired on a job right now and no one loves me. But it's like,
Joyce.
I mean, yeah, I'm starting to feel that way now. I still go back into it a little bit from
Same.
time to time,
I think we all do.
but
Mhm.
it's also random, and
Yeah.
like there is no difference between,
Mhm.
like, it's a pass fail situation for me. There's no,
Mhm.
like, I'm not a 97 AC and another guy is a 78, like a 70 out of 100 AC.
Yeah.
Like either you know how to do the job or you do not. And that's really the thing. From there, do people want to be around you for 12 hours a day? Do they
Yeah.
want to travel with you? Like, are you a nice person who can hold a conversation and look around and, be like, oh, wow, we're in this situation. I'll act this way. Like, it's not all about me. I'm not going to sit on my phone. I don't know. I feel like I've
Yeah.
lost myself here, but
Mm.
there's be a real person, right? I
Mhm.
mean, know how to do your job. Obviously, that's important,
Mhm.
but that's the easiest part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then like this whole industry is really weird, and there's weird people in it, both good and bad weird. You know what I mean? Mostly good weird,
Oh,
I
I
find.
know.
Uh,
Yeah.
so try and be a good weird person. Like I know a lot of people who do pottery now. That seems to be like the hot new thing. Rock
Really?
climbing and pottery in New
Hmm.
York, at least I guess.
I like it. That's
It's
cool.
cool. It's
Yeah.
cool, but it's like, here's something I do on the side that I can control and like
Yeah.
turn my brain off and not, I
Yeah.
guess it's self-care, whatever you want to call it. But you do
Self-care.
have to find other things to do so you're not, when you're sitting around waiting for a job, you're not just sitting around waiting for a job,
Right. Right. Love
because
it.
there's a lot of that. There's a lot of sitting around.
Oh yeah. Truly. Thank you.
Maybe not for other people. Maybe other people are just constantly turning jobs down and it's just me. But
I don't
I
know.
don't think so. I'm pretty sure
I think right
everybody
now,
sits around and waits.
yeah, it is so true, and it is a mind fuck at the end of the day. I'll be honest.
I thought you were going to announce at the end of Cal's podcast that we're coming back, baby. I listened to
Like,
the whole thing
by the
because
way,
I was waiting for him to be like,
that was what it was for.
season 6 rolling out in the summer of 25.
Right. I wish. Oh my gosh. It would be a dream to do that all over again with the same team, but budget cuts and everything else, right?
I guess.
So, all right. Well, I'm going to transition to getting to know Kyle more with 3 questions for you. But my first
Okay.
burning one, what has been the most interesting thing you've read, watched, or listened to lately?
Mm, I know you asked this, so I did prepare an answer, but now I
Good.
cannot remember that answer. I watched that thing on Netflix, American Primeval.
Hmm.
It's the guy who did Friday Night Lights. I think it's Peter Berg,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's in Utah, so there you go.
Oh.
There's a little tie, but it's like the settling of Utah.
Oh. Like
It's
with the Mormons?
with the Mormons, Brigham Young and his army.
Oof.
And are you familiar with the Mormons in general? You're from Utah, right? So
I'm
of course you are.
married to an ex-Mormon.
Oh, nice.
So,
The the hill, Cumorah, is in the
hmm.
town right behind me, in
Oh,
Palmyra, New York. Yeah,
there
it's
you
like
go.
they used to do. Do you know Hill Cumorah? Have you ever
Yes.
been?
Nope.
Okay, it was like Mormon Bonnaroo. Every summer they would be like RVs backed up on the road, and then they do like pageants and dances and whatever. So
Uh-huh.
whatever.
Right.
It's set in that like 1880s settling thing. It's only 6
Wow.
episodes, but
Okay.
it's got the Mormon
Mm-hmm.
army. You've got
Mm-hmm.
some regular old settlers.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Union Army, I think, or like the United States Army. Can't
Okay.
remember if we were at war. Then there's different tribes involved,
Right.
and I don't know. It's like it never really starts or ends, and I think that's sort of the whole point. Is it's supposed to be like a snapshot of like what
Right.
life would be like for a week or however long the thing takes place.
Yeah.
but it's pretty interesting, and
Cool.
it's a new story. You know how there aren't a lot of newer
Mm.
stories. It's just
Mhm.
like a different, like, huh.
Version of
I,
it. Yeah.
yeah, it was interesting to watch. I haven't. I started watching Severance this week, but I don't know.
Oh,
I didn't know that we had Apple TV, but apparently we do. So I started watching it.
do it. I know. That one's on my list. I feel like I've got to really carve out that time so that my brain can fully process it. But I've heard great things, so I like these
Yeah,
recommendations.
I would have started watching it earlier had I known we had
How'd you
Apple
know?
TV. But
Yeah. Well, there you go.
yeah,
Apple TV. Cool. And
yeah,
Netflix. And that other one was on Netflix.
yeah.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
only 6 episodes and they're like an hour long, so you can really just
Perfect.
go through the whole thing
Breeze
if
through
you
it.
want to. Yeah.
Nice. All right. What about a local favorite that you can give a shout out to? And this can, and I'm gonna make it fun if you want to shout out anything in your hometown, but if you want to shout out any of the restaurants aside from the Atlanta one. Wait, did you give the name of that Atlanta restaurant?
Oh no, that's do you
What
want
was
me
that?
to or not?
Yeah,
Oh, it's the Americano. It's up in like
the
Buckhead.
Americano.
I think it's like in a fancy hotel,
Okay,
first floor or whatever.
perfect. Okay, so
It's
I'm gonna add
Italian
that.
comfort food. It's super nice. Yeah.
Ooh,
But he has other
Italian.
ones. There's one in the Catskills, and then the one like Scotty lives in Scottsdale,
Okay,
or
Scotty from
Phoenix or
Scottsdale.
whatever. I mean, he's from
Yeah.
Connecticut, but because all
Okay.
Italians are from Connecticut,
Fair.
and he has one. It's Mora Italiana or something that's in Phoenix or Scottsdale or whatever.
Okay.
That's the one that I wanted to go to. We were on a different shoot, and no one would go with me, so I didn't go. I blew it.
Yeah. So what would you say then for your like local and then what's another how about one from IP4 if you can pick a
Okay,
restaurant
I
if
don't
you
know
remember
that I
them
would remember, but
because you went to so many.
no, I just don't have a good memory. But we're in Rochester. I live
Yeah.
in East Rochester, and we like when we go out to eat, we probably go out like once a week or whatever with the kids. And
Yeah.
there's this place. It's in the town I grew up in called Fairport. It's called Donnelly's. It's just a bar. Has bar
Donnelly's.
food.
Yeah.
Rochester has actually Rochester has okay restaurants. My brother and my sister-in-law are vegan, and
Uh-huh.
so there's this place. It's like a house that they converted into a kitchen slash restaurant.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of old
Wow.
houses that are like super big because Kodak was started in Rochester,
Mm-hmm.
and up until they blew it by not having a digital camera, like everybody's dad worked at Kodak, So there's
Yeah.
whole neighborhoods that are just like Kodak middle management used to live here. And they're
Wow.
just these huge Victorian homes that are 3,500 square feet, like all this stuff. There's butler's entrances, and you know, it's
Right.
gorgeous architecturally and whatever. But they took one of
Yeah.
these and they turned it into like the whole house is a restaurant now. It's called Owl House,
Damn.
and they
Owl House.
do, yeah, um, everything they serve can be vegan. I think is the thing.
Nice.
Yeah, so we went out when my brother and sister-in-law were here. We went out with them to that restaurant, and I had never been, but it was super duper good.
Nice. All
For the
right.
In Pursuit one,
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I don't know. I don't. I also mixed the two seasons together, so I can't really
True.
remember. But I do remember there was this one. We were north of Sacramento. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
Yuba City. It was very
Ooh.
memorable because the whole town had like wild chickens in it for a reason that I don't remember, but
Wild
also
chicken.
was, yeah, it was something like, the circus was coming through town, and then they just like left the chickens. And then the chickens
Oh no.
propagated or something. Like something happened where like,
Jeez.
but we were in this hotel
Uh-huh.
and they roost in the trees, right? Out in front of the
Ooh.
hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Big parking lot. They're running all over the place, squawking and whatever. And they would be like at 5 in the morning, like you're on the
Oh
second floor.
no.
There's a chicken directly outside your window that's just like, so I remember being there because I was just like, what the hell is going on right now? And we had a lunch there. I think it was with Whitney. I don't know if you guys
Okay.
ever met the other ones, but
Very briefly.
we had a lunch. There was like a large Indian population there, and
Okay.
so the place we went was just like a hole in the wall mom and pop Indian place,
Yeah.
but it was so good, like so good.
I'm gonna ask Yosh, be like, do you remember
He'll
that?
remember.
He
He'll
probably will
remember.
because that's just his brain. So that's why I wrote that down. So I'm gonna ask him what the name of that was. But what a funny memory. And
Oh,
the
the whole
chickens.
the whole thing of that was very weird. That whole shoot, and the chickens were really like the cherry on top.
That's hilarious. I don't think nobody ever told me about those chickens. So now I'm kind of mad, but I'm glad I
It
heard
was
about
very
it
weird.
here.
Yeah,
All right, last question for you then. Who
go.
is a hero of yours and why?
I thought about this one a lot too because I listened to all the other ones, and I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. I don't know. I think it's my dad, right? And
I
has
love
not
that.
always been
Yeah,
my dad. I did not necessarily get along with him growing up because we're both sort of strong headed or whatever.
sure.
But as I've gotten older, at different times in my life, I remember I woke up on my like 26th birthday and I was with that girl who played the ukulele on the internet, and we were like in a
Yeah.
hotel room because she had played a show, and he called me to say happy birthday, and I was just like,
Mm,
if I think about it, you were 26. I think my dad skipped 2 grades, um,
mm,
and he's a chemical engineer. Like he's like a very smart person. I think if people were comfortable in the 50s diagnosing people the way they are now, you
yeah.
might call him something else.
Yeah.
But he's very like intellectually smart and super good at the stuff that he does, which I
Yeah.
don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm 26. I wake up and I'm like, oh man, thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
Also, when you were 26, it was the 80s or whatever, but you had 2 car payments, a mortgage, and 3 kids under 5. You know,
Yeah.
like what on earth were you thinking? And also, there's no way I could ever do that.
No.
And so stuff like that where I've like over the years gained respect for him
Mm,
and what he's had to do and what it means
mhm.
to like show up for your people, like your
Yeah.
family. You go to work every day and you don't love it some days, and sometimes you deal with hard stuff
Right.
because of the work you're doing or just in general. There's hard stuff that goes on, but you show up every day, you do the thing that's right to take care of the people that you love. And
Yeah.
like, I definitely took it for granted for a long time. But as I've gotten my own kids and have a mortgage and car payment, I'm like,
Hmm.
man, this is
It's
terribly
hard.
difficult. And there's no way, there's no way that they knew what they were doing, right?
Not a
Like they were
chance.
making it up as much
Yeah.
as we are.
And they were younger.
Oh, I think he got married when he was 20. My mom is older.
My parents were 18 and they had two kids by 19 and a mortgage
That's
and
gross.
a
It's too
car.
much.
Like,
Yeah.
what was I doing at 18?
I don't know. My little brother has 3 daughters under 5,
Oh,
but he's also like the CFO of a hedge fund. So
oh hell yeah.
think
Then
he's
he's
okay.
he's
I think
probably
he's
fine.
fine. It does suck. It doesn't take away from the fact that
Yeah.
like their spring break or whatever was last week, and they had like RSV, strep, and
Oh,
COVID like all in the same house.
oh
I think.
Lord. Yeah,
Yeah, that
no.
part I do not miss. My kid was sick yesterday from school, but
Ugh.
we like made him take a nap and gave him some medicine and sent him back today.
Put him back out.
He didn't have a
Well,
temperature though. Like I'm not sending sick kids to school. All
oh
right.
yeah. I believe you. I trust
Yeah.
you. Well, I like both of those answers and just the way that you broke that down. And I think you've been pretty vulnerable this
Oh,
whole chat, which
thanks.
hey, you were like, I don't know how you're gonna make me interesting or my
Oh,
job
it wasn't about
interest.
my vulnerability. It was just like I haven't done anything in my life.
You have though, and that which is why I said for every single person on our team, I want to give you that platform. I want to talk about your jobs. I want to talk about who you are as a person because, like I said, I have worked with so many different crews. I've been in the field so many different times now, and still, I reflect back to those 3 years, that summer, those 4 months, whatever it was we had together, and I treasure that. And it's
Hmm.
even more important that we were doing something that served a purpose rather than just storytelling. I mean,
That
Chasing
is true.
Fugitives is when I tell people that, I would say up until I sat down with Cal, like sometimes I would say that and sometimes like I'd be like, am I being showy about this? Am I really like chasing fugitives? And then finally talking about some of those episodes with Cal, I was like, oh wait, yeah, no. Like that's literally what we were doing and
Yeah,
going to those places, going and tracing the steps of where they were, right? Like how many
yeah,
crime scenes did we actually go to, right? And film
uh,
there. And that's that's a pretty powerful job. So going from your
I know.
chopped into chasing bad guys, and doing so with a team that just felt like family and is family, in my opinion. I mean, we really went through a lot together, and
Yeah,
just like you said, we don't really like sit down and think about our jobs because it's our jobs,
right.
but being able to reflect back now that some time has passed, hearing from all of you, seeing how that has resonated with you over the years, that's important to me. And it's important for my listeners to understand that again, it's not just producers who go through these things, it's everyone. So
Yeah.
thank you for doing
No,
this,
you're
Kyle.
welcome.
I so
It's cool.
appreciate
I've enjoyed it. I listened.
it.
I was like, as soon as they came out, I listened to everyone else's,
Good.
and I was like, oh, this is a lot of time I'm spending. What am I doing here? But like every other job,
Yeah.
you just kind of, when you're done with it, you're like, all right, that was fun. I had a good time. Like, can't dwell on it. Gotta focus
Move
on
on.
getting the next one. So you
Hmm.
do kind of forget about it. And it
Yeah.
was a nice little, it was a good experience for me. And I think
Hmm.
for a lot of people, I don't think about it that much. So it was nice to do this whole thing and listen to everybody else talk about
Hmm.
their experience on it. It was nice.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear it. Thanks,
Yeah.
Kyle. I
Thank you.
appreciate you. Be sure to join me next week when I sit down with Anne Marie Halbin. Anne is a survivor of sexual assault that occurred during a high school trip to Bermuda. Her assailant went on to become a local politician, and Anne recognizes the importance of breaking her silence. Anne's story is a reminder that while national cases often take the spotlight, local level assaults deserve just as much attention and justice. This will be one of the first interviews Anne has done about her experience, and it's an incredibly powerful conversation you won't want to miss. Join us next week for a story that demands to be heard. This is True Crime in Hollywood, a personal tale, a La Activista production, with music by Mickey O'Brien. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a review for the show. Thank you for listening, and as always, remember the victims and embrace the survivors.